Every serious lifter at one time or another is going to come across a crucial turning point in their fitness journey. Usually this turning point is a plateau that a lot of people encounter after the initial successes that they had in the newbie phase and in the novice training phases. But you reach a point, you hit a plateau, and you no longer have that same luxury. So you are at a defining moment in your training career. And this particular moment isn't about doing more or overcoming some theoretical, insurmountable obstacle where you have to go to war every single day in the weight room. Instead, it is a call for a strategic shift and a nuanced understanding of how to move forward when the straightforward gains from your early days are no longer happening as easily. And at this point, you've reached a stage where growth is going to demand more than just enthusiasm and just showing up. It's going to require a deep dive into the specifics of your training and a commitment to precision, as well as a willingness to adapt to a new approach, as well as to whatever your current approach actually is. And it's constantly going to be going in different directions as you continue throughout this stage. As you navigate from a novice to an advanced level, the path becomes less about raw effort and more about the intelligence behind the strategies that you're putting in place. So at this time, it's time to embrace the importance of tracking metrics, to recognize the value of specialized training programs, and to understand the crucial role of intensity as well as proper application of exercises in your programming. So adjusting your training frequency and selecting exercises based on their effectiveness for your body are key steps in overcoming this plateau. And this intermediate phase of everybody's fitness journey, at least a serious lifter's fitness journey, is characterized by a shift to a more analytical and personalized approach where those generic workouts from bodybuilding.com or whatever other website you're getting it off of, it's just not working anymore. So at this point, you need to be prepared to tackle a new challenge because the roadmap is very clear. Focus on the details, apply principles of individualized resistance training, and adjust your routines based on careful analysis and feedback from your body and from the results you're getting. Welcome to the intermediate and advanced stage. You are at a more professional level where success is going to be defined by thoughtful planning and strategic approach. We are going to go through 7 things that you can do and focus on that will truly drive progress so that you can hopefully get out of this plateau and start advancing to new levels. First, we have to track metrics and data. As you advance throughout this period, the significance of tracking metrics and data becomes undeniably crucial. The early gains that you experienced are not going to continue to happen without a change of strategy, because what isn't measured isn't managed, and this principle is key as you transition from beginner to advanced stages. The stage that you are now coming into is one where every session in the gym, every lift, and every set is going to feel challenging. But feeling challenged at this point is not enough. The subjective sense of difficulty can deceive you, leading you to believe that you're pushing your limits, when in reality, you're falling short and you might be operating within a comfortable range of effort. This is why tracking becomes absolutely critical. It's the objective eye and the unambiguous record that tells you clearly what's working and what isn't. Without this type of clarity, progress is going to stall and frustration is just going to keep going up. So tracking is your roadmap in this more complex phase of training. It serves as an objective lens, providing clear feedback on what's effective and what's not. And this meticulous approach is necessary because muscle building becomes a more nuanced process as you progress to higher levels. And the essence of tracking everything lies in its ability to inform and guide your training decisions with absolute precision. It turns every session into a data-driven step towards your goals, ensuring that your efforts are not just consistent, but also optimally directed towards growth. So as the simplicity of the newbie gains fade, the need for a tailored and methodical approach is essential. And tracking equips you with insights needed to fine-tune your regimen, making sure every workout counts towards getting you one step closer. Now, the second thing that we need to look at is you need to get more specialized training. Now, the second thing that we're going to look at is you need to look at getting a more, so the second thing we're going to look at is you need to get a more specialized training program or an individualized training program, because the need for this becomes clear. In the early stages, the broad and undirected effort often leads to gains simply due to the body's response of novelty or new stimuli. However, as you continue to progress, these general approaches are going to lose their effectiveness if they haven't already. And this is where the shift to a personalized training regimen becomes not just beneficial, but essential for continued improvement. The core principle behind this shift is the recognition that we're only as strong as our weakest link. And to achieve a balanced growth and overcome plateaus, focusing on your specific weaknesses is absolutely crucial. For instance, in powerlifting, if your squat sucks, a one-size-fits-all squat program isn't going to address the unique challenges that you might face in improving the lift. For me, while I was powerlifting in my squat, there was a period of time I needed to work on my stability. So I needed to be able to get stronger while on one leg, so that the stability that my glute med provided my hips provided essentially a stronger base of support to be able to drive more force through my body into the bar and ultimately get a bigger squat. So a tailored program that focuses on strengthening the muscles and improving techniques are critical if you're wanting to progress a certain body part or get stronger in a certain lift. So the third thing that you need to look at is we at this point need to bring up intensity. Most people, when they get stuck, when I look at their form or I look at how they lift in the gym, it usually comes from a lack of intensity. Like I previously said, new stimuli is going to give you new growth, period. Especially in the newbie phase, you can literally walk into a gym, breathe, and you're probably going to grow a little bit of muscle. But in this phase, raising the intensity of your workouts is pivotal, and it's required for you to move beyond this plateau. So initially, the novelty of training stimulates growth even with just moderate effort. But to get to a higher level, you have to do more. You have to go harder, but smartly. And a lot of people linger in this stage because they don't push their workouts to the necessary intensity, often stopping well short of their real limits. And this can be indicated by RIR, reps in reserve. How close are you getting to failure? Ideally, you want to be targeting 8 to 16 challenging sets per body part each week, getting within 3 reps shy of true failure. Now, how do I know where my failure is? You're going to have to spend some time actually going to failure so that you can get a better gauge on where 1 rep short, 2 reps short, 3 reps short shy of failure is. In my opinion, that's the only way. You have to actually spend time going to failure and getting very uncomfortable in order to be able to tell where you are in a set. Now, surprisingly, this focused approach to intensity may actually reduce your time in the gym while enhancing recovery, because it's more about quality as opposed to quantity. Because the goal when you go into a gym is to stimulate, not annihilate. You stimulate, you get out, you feed your body what it needs to continue to grow. So for optimal results, incorporate 2 hard sets to mechanical failure for each exercise that you're doing, particularly for priority muscle groups, and this is going to transform your progress. This method ensures that the session is maximally productive, concentrating on intensity without letting like an overall, raging stimulus of volume, mitigate how much fatigue that you're having. Many can find this adjustment to be simple, but super effective for unlocking new gains. So by prioritizing intensity, you ensure that every exercise is a step towards greater strength and muscle potential, making your training both efficient and powerful. Which leads me into number 4. You might have to actually lower the frequency at which you lift. So adjusting frequency of your workouts by shifting from like a full body routine to a split system, such as like upper, lower, or even push-pull legs, can be a strategic move as you progress in your journey. Full body sessions, they're super effective for beginners, and I would even argue into the intermediate stage. They become less practical and efficient for those moving into more advanced stages of training. And the reason for this shift, it's multifaceted. So it comes down to time efficiency, maintaining intensity, and focused intensity and recovery. So for time efficiency, full body workouts can be insanely time consuming, especially whenever you're trying to get enough sets to still stimulate muscle growth. So as the complexity of intensity of your workouts increase, so does the time required to complete them. And an upper-lower split can significantly reduce the amount of duration of your session while still making sure that you are, hitting the muscles that you need to hit every week in a proper amount. So when we look at maintaining intensity, it's challenging to maintain high intensity through a full body workout, especially because fatigue just sets in. And this is going to lead to diminished returns in your performance over time. Because if I'm doing a back squat early in the session and then I'm doing deadlifts or I'm doing more like heavy leg work, I'm probably not going to be able to get as much out of my upper body just due to the overall systemic fatigue that those lifts can provide if you're adequately pushing them to a level where you're trying to grow. And so an upper lower split also allows for more targeted intensities of specific muscles or just a body part split, because you can actually put all of your focus into one or two muscle groups as opposed to trying to put all your focus in a number of other muscle groups, which for me mentally makes it way easier to continue to push intensity for the specified muscle groups that I am aiming to hit that day. Also, I just hate full body workouts. And because we do this, we can decrease the risk of overtraining, which enables more productive workouts. And this is due to my fifth point, focusing on stimulus to fatigue ratio and programming exercises accordingly. So focusing on SFR of your lifts and adjusting your exercise programming accordingly is crucial. So the concept becomes increasingly important as you continue to want to maximize your muscle growth while managing fatigue, because as the intensity of your workouts continue to increase, so does your potential for fatigue, particularly from exercises that are systemically demanding. So the choice of exercises here plays a role in how effective your training is. So engaging in too many high fatiguing exercises early on is going to diminish the overall stimulus of the lifts that you're doing later in your session. So if I combine heavy back squats and then deadlifts right after, one, the amount of fatigue I'm getting from back squats is a lot. So my deadlifts probably are not going to be at the level that I would want them to be. But then if you continue to do other muscle groups, so say you're trying to hit your chest after doing those two exercises, you're not going to be able to drive as much stimulus to those muscle groups, especially if those are priority muscle groups for you. And so this simple understanding of the necessities of a strategic approach to your programming by considering things like stimulus to fatigue ratio, it's going to ensure that your recovery is on point and you can put as much as you can into your sessions. And so in practice, this basically just means evaluate your exercises based on what is the most systemically fatiguing and organize your workouts and splits to accommodate the best combination of exercises. So yes, you may want to do the highest fatiguing exercises first so you can get the most out of it. But for me, for instance, I don't particularly love going above 500 pounds on a back squat anymore whenever my goal is hypertrophy. So if I am going to back squat, I might actually do a leg press earlier in the session. That way I don't have to do quite as much weight on the back squat, but I can drive more output on my quads through the leg press than I would be able to on the squat anyway, possibly getting even better gains because my fatigue is not as high by the time that I get to back squats, because I do personally hit my quads way better on a leg press than I do on a back squat because I am such a hip dominant squatter. So just keep stimulus fatigue ratio in mind as you're continuing to go through this. Now, the sixth point is you are going to have to bulk and cut. As you transition from beginner to intermediate to advanced, the strategy for body composition changes pretty drastically. So initially, recomping, so gaining muscle while losing fat, is entirely feasible due to the body's response to new stimuli, right? So as you progress, your body adapts. So those same stimuli aren't going to be as effective, especially if you are wanting to continue to build muscle, because we know after a certain point, muscle gains slow down. And so once muscle gains slow down, we have to start actually entering bulking and cutting phases where the purpose is to do one thing or another. If you try to be, the phrase like a jack of all trades is a master of none. In this case, this is absolutely true. So this concept of cutting and bulking is essential to get past the intermediate stage, because as your body grows larger, becomes more adapted, it's going to require more inputs and more consistent inputs over time. So bulking involves a period of eating in a caloric surplus. Cutting involves of eating in a deficit. I usually recommend 8 to 12 weeks for cuts, 16 to 20 for bulks, because cutting, in my opinion, is a lot easier than bulking, and bulking to a point where you don't get too fat requires more planning and more discipline. And that's just me, but that's also because I can just not eat and be pretty okay for the most part, until obviously it gets deeper into a cut, then it might become a problem. But adopting this strategic decision is what's going to align you to get to the more advanced stages, because there's not a single, even if you just consider professional bodybuilders, despite PEDs and everything, they don't ever do true recomps. They're always doing bulking and cutting phases. And then during the cutting phases, they're using more PEDs to be able to mitigate the muscle loss. But muscle loss is not really something that a ton of people have to worry about as much as they might think that they do, unless you're doing a super aggressive cut. So this method of bulking and cutting is going to allow you to continue to advance forward and ultimately break through plateaus. And my last point, to get help with all of this, just get a coach. Investing in a quality coach can be a game changer, and it was for me, particularly as you get a good foundation on the basics. Coaches have just been doing it for a long time, and they probably know more than you do, and they can see things with a more objective eye. So they bring a wealth of experience and knowledge that's going to just streamline your path to getting past this dreaded intermediate stage. So they're going to offer you tailored advice and strategies just to cut through the confusion and keep you from overthinking, helping you to avoid common pitfalls in your trainings. So many of us, we find ourselves overthinking our training program, and it's going to lead to analysis paralysis and, or worse, ineffective training methods because of what some influencer told us is the best way to grow XYZ, or, science-based. The impact of actually having a coach is going to lead you to breakthroughs. A good coach is going to change your life in terms of how you see things. They're also, a good coach, hopefully, is going to equip you with the knowledge so that eventually you won't ever need a coach again, because you'll be able to do it yourself. And if you would need a coach, it would be strictly as an accountability means. But their experience likely means that they've encountered and overcome many challenges that you are probably already facing, and giving them insight on what you're struggling with can help them guide you through similar hurdles that they themselves have dealt with, or what them and their clients have dealt with. So ultimately, a coach's value lies in their ability to tailor your experience and your problems to a specific program for you, and also make that path a lot faster because you no longer have to think. You can just go and execute and trust the process. Whether it's your training technique, optimizing training and nutrition, or just offering encouragement to help you persevere through this challenging time, the right coach can transform how you approach the gym and unlock your full potential. So, with that being said, I hope you took some value away from this. The intermediate trap is a pain in the dick, and I 100% think everybody has the potential to get out of it, but it does require a little bit different of an approach. So if you had any questions about anything that I've went through on here, leave comments, ask questions down there. Happy to help. Contact info's in the description. But other than that, until next time, peace.